Welcome everyone. Welcome to another preview. This is MetalCanyon, and we'll be checking out a game called Buoyancy by devs on a boat. Or should we say devs on a Waterworld-esque floating city, as is the case here. This is pretty funny because I've just recently previewed Flotsam, which is another game pretty much in this genre, although they seem to be fairly different games in a way. Let me show you. Let's load the game. Before we begin also, as always, I do have to warn you that this is a early access game, so a lot of stuff is still unfinished, buggy, etc, etc, etc. So just be aware of that. It's not a finished product yet. So, it is a game... Oh, this is going to be too loud, isn't it? Audio. Shh. Yeah, that's going to be better. So this is a game about... Oops, I didn't mean to do that. This is a game about Waterworld, pretty much. If you've seen Waterworld, if you haven't, actually, then I can simply tell you that Waterworld is an old movie that was sort of panned by critics. That happens in a post-apocalyptic world that has been... Well, it has seen rising oceans to the point where the entire planet is pretty much covered in oceans, and there's only very, very few places left that are pretty much places of legend that still have land on them. So yeah, that's kind of like the plot of the movie. Anyway, so this is kind of a similar concept. The entire planet has been covered in ocean, or most of it, and your people have to simply survive in this fairly hostile world. Hostile mostly because, well, one, you have to constantly create and forage for food and other things, and two, because, well, there are pirates about. So, you know, it is inevitable now that I will be comparing this to Flotsam, because it is a similar game in the same city building or floating city genre. And it's sort of survival. You have to get resources and feed people and so on. So yes, I will be comparing these two games. Let's see, where's my fishery? My fishery is there and there. That's not really the best placement, but oh well. So the first big difference with Flotsam is that while over in Flotsam you can move your city. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no one's getting fish. Okay, never mind. In Flotsam, you can also move your city from map to map. Over here, that's pretty much seamless. Your city can move at any time into any direction you wish, with a few exceptions. You simply right-click where you wish your city to move, and over here we have 26 idle workers, and if I start moving, 23 of them have to be actually rowing. So if we zoom in, let's see, there's some rowers here. So they are, in effect, moving the entire city by rowing, which, you know, you would, oh, wait a second. I haven't finished this yet. Oh, good. If you hear any bloody chainsaws in the background, that's near me, so I do apologize about that. That's very annoying, nothing I can do. I was hoping they wouldn't be doing this right now, but unfortunately they are doing, so if you do hear chainsaws, that's not the game, that's over here. Oh, great. I'll just try to babble more and drown it out. Anyway, yeah, you can move your city, and that's basically the main way you can get resources, various resources quickly. So over here, I'm over this school of fish. Fish stocks have rebounded with the collapse of civilization. Schools of these large fish can be a boon for any city. So just like in Flotsam, or just like in really any city builder, you build your buildings. But of course, this is not SimCity, so you don't need to specifically build roads and other things. You mainly build buildings that create resources of one type or another. Well, there's two types of buildings. One type is a resource building, and one type is a military building. So over here, I've got some storehouse. There's a guardhouse, and there should be a ranger barracks here. These are my two military buildings, and all of these other ones are resource buildings. So that includes things like scavengers, which produce resources by scavenging the submerged wood and scrap metal. I've got fisheries, I've got deep divers, which actually dive to the bottom of the sea, I suppose, and get you dirt, which is pretty essential, and crude oil. So that's a lot like Waterworld in a way. And you've got the medicine, and then you've got buildings like the medicine hut, which take resources but produce things you need. So it processes seaweed and plastic to produce medicine. And I also have the bakery, which produces bread. I'll actually resume the production of bread here. We've also got the evaporator, which produces water, but it consumes wood. We are actually running out of wood, so that's not very nice right now. There's some survivors over there, but I don't need the survivors right now, because even while rowing, I have 14 people who are doing nothing. So really, I want to get to... Wow, there's a lot of destroyed ships here, and crude oil, wow. So yeah, you've got your drifting resources, which actually move, and you've got your stationary resources like these schools of fish, destroyed ships. This one actually has both schools of fish and destroyed ships. And what these do is, the way the resource buildings work is... Oh, all these storehouses are full. The way these resources buildings work is they constantly produce... Let me do this. There we go. Pressing F will show you the progress of these resource buildings. So there we go. We're about to get some plastic. There we go. And now it resets. What this means is that the buildings you build will always constantly produce resources at a slow rate. And in most cases, it's a chance. So in this one, you've got an 80% chance to produce plastic, or 10% to produce scrap metal, or 10% to get wood. But if you move some of these buildings, like fisheries, over the fish schools, they will get a big boost in how fast they produced. Eddie was working on a catapult and launched themselves into the stratosphere. Yeah, that's sort of just a text that tells you they died of old age, or they died in combat, which is a bit weird, but yeah, that's how the game does it. So anyway, these all of these resource points on the map are optional. You don't actually have to get them, but you will get resources much faster if you do, park yourself over them. But of course, you have to do it with a proper building. So in this case, a fisher over here, this fisher would also benefit from being over the school of fish, but the way I place these buildings, it won't really work because the school of fish is not quite large enough to get both of these into the circle. But otherwise, if you do have things where you could get more than one resource building into a circle, you can also move your city like this by pressing Z and X, which is pretty interesting. Of course, now that I have a much bigger city, I've learned how to properly space my buildings. So I put all my foragers... What the heck was that? That was bizarre. My screen went blank for just a moment there. I hope that's not going to be evident on the recording. Anyway, I put my forages over here. The problem with a lot of these resource buildings, like the foragers, the fisheries, the scavengers, is that they require free space next to them. Which means that if you build too many buildings next to them, they will... Oh, come on, get closer. I forgot how to get to a full stop. I think it's space. They will have a decreased efficiency. So, for example, this fisher over here is at 100%, but this scavenger is at 90%. Oh, that's not much. It simply reduces the time... I mean, it increases the time between resources, but it can get quite annoying when you start building things and you run out of space and you start building around them, and you realize that, well, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to just destroy everything and start again. So that's why I put these forages over here along the bridge, so they have as much space as possible. And of course, I also place them together, which means that if I do have something to forage, these guys will be able to do it all in one go. So it's basically going to be faster. But of course, again, making more of these buildings will produce more resources in the long run, because instead of just one cooldown cycling over and over and making your resources, you have 3, or over here I have 4, because I have another forager. 5, actually. 6. 7. I have quite a lot of them. So there's a school of fish now here, which we can get. So this is the main way to get resources. Build buildings, and there's quite a few buildings. Quite a few different buildings. And of course, moving closer, this is my town center. This is where the city wants to move to when I right-click somewhere. We'll also want to get the destroyed ship and crude oil. Now over here are all of my resources. I've got some wood, metals. There's quite a lot more stuff. It's a lot more complex than Flotsam, for example. Even though Flotsam does have quite a few different resources as well. But over here, it's a lot different in the way that there's also production chains, in a way. So for example, over here I've got some greenhouses which produce wheat. Or grains, in this case. I suppose it's not just wheat, it's just any grains. And for that, of course, I need water, so I need an evaporator, which produces water. I also need the deep diver to keep looking for dirt, which these things need. Actually, no, they don't require any dirt. You only need dirt to actually build them. But then they produce this out of nothing. Or maybe not, maybe it's because they're paused. Let me actually check, we can check that. No, they actually don't require any water. I guess that's not something they've intended yet. Anyway, so, then you produce the grains, then you need a mill to actually mill those grains into flour, and then you need a bakery to bake those things. Another interesting thing is that a lot of these have this triangle over here. See, this one has the fire starter, and this one has flammable, which means that you really shouldn't put flammable buildings next to the ones that are fire starters. The fire starters, from my experience, will not start fires at all, even if you completely surround them by other buildings, as long as they are not buildings that are flammable. So, yeah, that's another thing to keep an eye out on. Also, another thing you've probably already noticed is that the graphics are a lot different from Flotsam. While Flotsam is very colorful and sort of upbeat, this is a lot more dreary and in a way realistic. Which is not necessarily a good idea depending on what your taste is. I think I need these scavengers here, yeah. Depending on what your taste is, I do like colorful stuff. Okay, let me stop this here. And I don't mind sort of a realistic take on things as well. But of course, when you do that, you really need to be on top with your animations and such. So things like people walking over areas where there's really no bridges, and people walking through buildings does get a bit weird and annoying at times. And of course, also animations, well, they're a bit more rudimentary than not. But granted, in the game's defense, most of the time you'll be looking at the game from this view, from this point of view. So not really zoomed in at all. So now I'm getting, let's see. Oh, I need a deep diver for the crude oil. That's interesting. That's actually the first time I saw a resource point like this that required the deep diver. Okay, so in essence, what I can do is rotate my ship. I wanted to say ship. Yeah, there's no way to get the deep diver there as well because I would crash into this. I mean, the game is going to stop your city anyway before you crash into it. There we go. You can also turn off these clouds, I believe, if they're too annoying for you. There you go. So now we can get the deep diver into this area as well, which will cause it to have a much shorter cooldown on getting the crude oil. There we go. Now it's only gathering crude oil, not dirt from below. So that's pretty good. So yeah, a lot of different resources. There's even whales that you can catch, but I don't have any buildings that do that yet. And you build up your city. You have to provide your city with food. It does seem that there's no water requirement for your villagers or for your survivors at the moment. There's just food, which is in the form of seaweed that they can eat, fish that they can eat, and also bread and meat. But of course, for drinks, they have beer, which requires fresh water and grains, and is produced at a brewery, which I do not have at the moment, which I probably should because I have plenty of grains, but not enough water really to sustain that, I think, and I don't really have enough wood for that, so I'll have to think in advance for that. But beer isn't really necessary, it seems, most of the time, because it only causes people to be happy, not really. Well, I don't know, I never truly ran out of beer, I don't think. Anyway, here's the happiness, 94%. Here's the nourishment, 83%, which I don't quite understand why it's so low, in a way, because I have plenty of pretty much everything, as you can see, apart from meat. So I suppose maybe if I had everything, that nourishment would go up. I don't know. There's a trade post there. And of course, there's the hunger, which is 5%, which is also a bit weird because I have food aplenty. Then you've got your idle population, your working population, well, specialists that are working in the buildings. You've got the people that are moving things around. And you've got your guards and rangers, villagers that are trained to shoot at hostiles. Now, hostiles can be anything from you invading different trade posts and other cities. Oh god, that chainsaw in the background. To pirates. Now, there are two main dangers in the game so far that I've seen. One is storms. Storms, the game will warn you about your people spotting a storm on the horizon, and that simply means that once you spot it, you will have big red arrows that will show you where the storm is going, and usually it's going straight for your city, but you need to get out of the way by having people row quickly. Otherwise, it will kill villagers with lightning strikes and also start fires. But most of the time, it doesn't. I mean, I went directly over a storm the very first time because, you know, I was not aware of how it would work, how the mechanics would work, and where I had to go. And when I started moving, it was already too late. So I had a few fires, I had a few villagers killed, but that was pretty much it. It wasn't really anything special. So that was a bit weird. And the other thing is the pirates. And the way the pirates are made. Oh, this forager can also get this stuff. Can I get that forager as well in there? Probably not. I could try, but... Oh, there we go. I wanted this forager, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't really like how the pirates are done. So the pirates will attack you periodically every now and then. I think it's sort of like periodically, but slightly randomized. And they do seem to... Their numbers do seem to depend on the numbers of your city. So if you have a large city, they will come in large numbers. If you have a small city, they will come in small numbers. And the thing is, I don't really feel threatened by pirates at all. In fact, the only reason I place down guard houses and ranger barracks is to test out whether I can successfully defend my city. And let me tell you, the guard house and the ranger barracks did pretty much nothing. Let me explain. So when the pirates come, they send a bunch of people here, killing villagers, or kidnapping them, I think, and going to your storehouses and taking things. And when they get enough, they will go. They will leave, and that's it. And they will also set fire to your buildings. But none of that ever resulted in any of my buildings being destroyed or my city being crippled. Now, I understand the need for, you know, not completely crippling the player, but there should be some, you know, cause and effect. If you don't prepare for pirate attacks at all, you should be punished in a way. And I suppose in a way you are, because they do take resources away from you, but it's not really a lot. What happens if I do 2 of these? Huh? It's not really a lot. It's just a percentage of things. And this game does love percentages a lot of the time. So for example, like I said, everything has a percentage of getting things. And that's the same with pirates. They will take a percentage of your things, of various resources. And they will kill a percentage of your people as well. Oh, I need to build more storehouses. Let's build more storehouses. Where's my storehouses? There they are. Let's build them. Well, here's the problem. See, these are all resources. resource building. So if I build this here, I will be slowing them down quite a lot, which is very annoying. See, I mean, I have to do it here. I don't really have the wood for this, but I'll have to do this anyway now. Oh yeah, this is another problem. I'll get back to pirates right away, but this is another problem. Here we have wood, right? But I am not getting any wood right now because my storehouses are full. Which means that if I want to build these, they will only take what little wood I have, and then these guys will get more wood. So if you have 0 wood, but completely full storehouses, and you build something, you will not be able to have it built until your people consume enough food to make some space in the storehouses. And even then, you will have to stop the production of your various food-producing buildings. Otherwise, they will produce food and possibly block up the storehouses as is. So that's quite annoying. But like I said, it's an early access game. They'll probably take care of that somehow. It's just an annoyance when you get to full capacity. So now I'm building these storehouses, which is fairly quick. Oh yeah, I don't have the metals for that. Is my smelter? My smelter is not doing anything. Let's start it up because I do have some wood here. So this storehouse will be done. The production is fairly quick. Storm inbound. There we go. Now I can show you how the storms look. What the heck? What? Okay. That's never happened before. Let's see. Okay. That was just a fluke with it. No. I think there's supposed to be lightning strikes, but I've never heard them this weird. I think it's coming from the left somewhere. Where is it? There it is. And I'm going right into it. Get away. There we go. The storehouse was destroyed. What? That's never happened before. It's never actually destroyed my buildings. And I was just destroying them straight up. I've lost so many resources. What was I talking about punishment in this game? I just got my ass kicked. Alright, so fortunately the people will take care of this on their own. Come on, take care of the fire. Stop rowing. I've pressed space. Stop rowing. Get the storehouse. Okay, there we go. There, they're throwing water on it. I mean, you're on an ocean for Pete's sake. Wow, that was pretty bad. It actually destroyed an entire storehouse here, and then some resources as well. So I did lose quite a few resources in that storm. That was bad. And now the fire has spread because for some reason they're not quite taking care of the fire. What are you just standing about there? Get the fire. Oh jeez. Okay, so there we go. That's the storms for you. That was really bad. Let's get some more wood. So the pirates. Let's get finally back to the pirates. They come. They take a % of your stuff. They kill a % of your people, and that's it. If you build, oh, it's also destroyed one of my guard barracks here. Yeah. If you build guard barracks and ranger barracks, the problem is not only does it take away from the working population, you know, because these guards and rangers, I don't think they ever work. They're always on duty. But that also means, of course, that you have fewer people to work on other stuff. Even though right now I have a lot of idle people not doing anything. So if you find survivors, you can take them on board, even though they can be, they can also be diseased and so on. And see, this medicine hut does produce medicine, but there's no, where is the medicine? I don't really see the medicine anywhere. Maybe it just comes into play when there's actual sickness about, and I've never had that before. So yeah, the pirates are sort of weird. They don't really scare me. Now I fear the storms a bit more now that I see, you know, they can be very bad. But maybe that was patched recently because before storms simply started fires and nothing else. And I went straight through one at one point. What the heck was that? That was like placing a building down. You can also meet other cities to trade with them, or you can attack them, and so on. There's a destroyed ship. Oh, there's a school of fish now. And a destroyed ship. Still, apparently. And there's also the music, which, it's okay. I don't quite feel like it fits the game. It's maybe a little too cheery, maybe a little too medieval-ish, even though, of course, you know, a lot of this technology of the city is pretty much medieval in nature. Yeah, but of course that's just my preference. So overall, it's an interesting game. It's an interesting city builder, but I don't know. It's difficult to recommend it right now because I really do think that the whole pirate thing should be made, one, more dangerous, but two, also give the players more of a feeling of being able to do something about it. Because right now, like I said, when I built the ranger barracks and the guard barracks over here, it really made a zero difference to me. At least I didn't feel any difference. All you can see is the pirates getting over to your city, disembarking, going around everywhere, going through buildings and setting fire to them, people dying and so on. And you can see some sort of shooting going on, but there's really no feedback about exactly what's going on. You'll see a lot of, oh, he's been killed and he's jumped over the board and stuff like that. But, you know, why are all these guys stuck here? Are these the random idols that are not doing anything? I don't know. So it's very odd in a way. I would want that to be reworked somehow and make these military buildings really much more useful. I've been reading some early access reviews on Steam as well, because I was before I actually got this game to do a preview on. And a lot of people have complained about that doesn't matter how many military buildings you build, it doesn't seem to do a lot of difference unless you build an insane amount of them, and even at that point, you know, they still take a lot of your stuff. So yeah, I'm the kind of guy that likes to, okay, take a few pirate raids, but then really think about building my defenses in the proper areas, and you know, repelling these attacks. So these guys want flour, scrap metal, crude oil, and seaweed. I have a lot of seaweed, so let's give them some seaweed, even though it's not very, well, it's actually pretty valuable. I'll take all their beer, which of course they completely overprice. I'll also give them some flour. Let's get some. No, I'm not gonna get any blubber. Just give him some... No, not some flour. Should have given some flour, I suppose, then. It's way more valuable, it seems. And one dirt. That doesn't matter. Confirm trade. Alright, there we go. So we've traded with them. You can also demand resources or take them prisoner or eat them. I've never tried eating anyone. That's pretty gruesome, but I suppose you can do so. I will need to create that brewery to make beer, but I am out of wood. That's a problem because wood can only be forged. So I will need more scavengers. But you see, this is the problem. This is also an annoying thing about the game. All of these resource buildings have to be on their own somewhere and have to have a lot of water around them. Because if they don't, their efficiency immediately goes down, and you're pretty much wasting the resources you have done to build that building, because now it's producing barely any stuff. So that's quite annoying. Anyway, yeah, a very interesting game. It's not a bad game. It's just blah, blah, blah. Not sure. It's missing something, I feel like. But if you like these sort of survival city builders, you're probably still going to enjoy it. It's got its quirks. It's a little clunky at times. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you've liked this preview. Actually, before we finish this, I'm going to pause the recording and wait until I get attacked. There's a whale there. I've never seen that before. I'm going to pause this recording and maybe wait until we get a pirate's attack and show you that as well. There's a harpooner. It needs 40 wood. I don't have 40 wood. I don't have enough wood for this. Oh, he's not actually moving. It's just there. That's pretty interesting. There's a trash pile. Yeah, I definitely need more scavengers to get more wood. Oh well. Right, let me pause this and we'll wait for a pirate attack. Okay, so never mind. Pirates aren't coming for some reason. My storehouses are all full. Which means like I cannot get more wood from this driftwood pile to build this storehouse, even though it says we're below 1500 resources. I'm not really sure what that's all about. So now I spotted this other city over here, floating city, so I suppose I can show you how combat works like that. I've never tried to invade a city, but let's see what happens. Let's speed things up. So yeah, you know how I mentioned that beer is only required to keep happiness up? Well, yep, I'm out of beer and happiness is going down because everyone seems to be an alcoholic on this place. Or in this place. Right, let's go to this city. What the heck? These are like just a bunch of scavengers around? What are those buildings? Call it like a barrel. Oh, there are deep divers? No. I don't know what they are, but apparently people are not very happy. Alright, let's see. There's quite a lot of them. Are they afraid? Okay, so, city interaction. A large floating mass of like-minded fisher and scavengers. Let's demand resources. Your demands were successful and 1 bread has been received. That's it? What if I demand more? 1 bread has been received. It claims to have no more resources left. Alright, invade. City has started a battle against Dachush. Alright, so go. Fight. What? Where are my guys? I only have these ranger barracks, I suppose, so... Oh yeah, because you need these guards that also invade. I think that it says they also invade. Oh, guard command, ranger command, military attack, villager attack. Okay, military attack. And villager attack. Everyone go! And ranger commands. There, so now they're fighting. They're hugging each other. Well, I mean, that's one way to get rid of excess population that you cannot feed, right? Happiness is going down. Now let's speed things up. Jeez, there's a lot of them. I have no idea where my rangers are. They seem to be the ones with like bows or something. But I have no clue where they are. Look at them. Alright, let's see. I get 66. I've lost like 10 population, I think. There we go. Victory! Dachush is defeated. Resources plundered. That's it? Are you serious? 12 beer, 7 junk, and 1 bread. What? Oh, here. Now we can get all these extra resources. Yeah, there we go. So these drifting ones are the resources that will simply float on top of your city and then your people can pick them up. So yeah, that's a lot of extra plastics and wood and other stuff that we can use. Kinsley disapproves of the current state of the city and deserted it. Okay, where? There's just water around. Where are you going? Anyway, so yeah, it's a pretty interesting game. A few problems here and there, a bit clunky. Combat is definitely not satisfying at all, as you can see yourself. That goes for the same as with the pirates attacks, which are just much worse than this. And yeah, it's still interesting. I would keep an eye out on it if you like the idea of a Waterworld-esque city builder. But like I said, also check out Flotsam, which I think at the moment is the superior game, despite the fact that it's a bit less complex than this. But it is more enjoyable in my opinion. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in another preview. Bye-bye.